Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is your host, Derek Stewart from the DC Stewart Show Podcast. And I am here with my kinfolk co-host, Isaiah. And we're doing another Saturday night. And it's an exciting Saturday night. We got a lot of stuff to talk about tonight. We got a lot of topics to cover tonight. This weekend has been, to me, a great weekend in sports, especially these CFP playoff games today. And we're going to bring you up to speed with some of the scores and some of the takeaways of some of the games. It is a Saturday, December 20th, 2025. We're like 5 days out from Christmas, and we're getting prepared for it. I hope you're prepared for it. You got all your shopping out of the way, and you got everything that you need to have with Christmas, because the forecast for the weather is being, that LA is going to be having some rain that week. So hopefully, I'm going to stay in anyway, because I don't like to go out on Christmas or any of those days before or after. So make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to us. Boy, we're knocking it out of the park, folks. We're really kicking some rear ends here. We have a nice following over in the Philippines. We got a nice following in Europe, South America, and the United States, as well as Canada. I mean, because the Canadian our audience is in Canada as well. And we're glad to bring you the best that we can bring you in, topics and in discussion. And we want your participation in this, as always. And by the way, Najee is not with us again, but he's going to be back with us on Monday. And we will definitely hit up on some NBA talk on Monday. So let's kick this thing off and let's check in with Isaiah. We got some good news today, fam, because at the end of the day, University of Miami won that game today. We're going to talk a lot about that, some of the takeaways. Isaiah has his Miami gear on. I just figured that, I just still have to, be the main guy.
You closet representing.
Well,
you in the closet representing.
Now, see, there he goes, and he's trying to put words in my mouth that I have never said.
This is something that we've been, covering the whole year, and both of us are deep into the school over there at University of Miami, and you ain't dressing accordingly, man. What's wrong with you? Yeah.
Well, I am a fan. I'm a 305 fan, and I'm pretty much I support everything 305. Everybody who out here who asks me, who's your favorite NFL team? I always say the Dolphins. Who's your favorite college team? I always say the University of Miami. So I am a fan.
Your favorite baseball team.
And the Dodgers, of course. Now I have to switch on you with the Miami Marlins, even though it's a home team. You know what I mean? Yeah. So tell us a little bit about your weekend and your week ending last week, because I know you've been very busy, and I really appreciate when you come on to the show and we can do this thing together, because it's just so imperative that we bring what we know to the public, and that's what makes me feel good about you. We've been doing this for over quite some time, and it's paying off. So we're going to stick to this thing. We're going to stick to our guns, and just let us know how we're doing. We want to hear your feedback and everything, and we want your input on different topics and stuff, and send us a topic or two. We're glad to have you if you want to send us a topic or two. So Isaiah, it seems like everything went well for you, right?
Damn Skippy, man. Listen, I went over to Hooters, man, and man, the crowd over there was electrifying. We had one or two Aggies over there that had some makeshift shirts on with Texas A&M written in a freaking marker on this shirt. But man, we embarrassed them, because my eyes are always casing the place, and I recognized that guy over there with a freaking Texas A&M shirt on, and I got all the guys riled up. And went over there and paid him a visit, man. And
yeah,
we chased him out of there.
Absolutely.
Well, we had him just going, man. But it was a very, very good game. It was a scary part of the first half where it was 3-0. Actually, it was going into half. It was 0-0, man. And then we finally got 3 points, and just the fact that we was missing field goals and that wind was really blowing hard over there, and it was swaying the ball because you can look at the flags that's on top of the uprights and how they were blowing. So, and then when they got ready to kick the ball, several times the ball came off the tee. So when you kicking a field goal, if it's got to go quite a distance, it gives an opportunity for the wind to catch the ball and take it pretty much right or left. And man, we missed those three and finally got one. And then when Texas A&M kicked theirs the first time and got it, so I was like, damn it, look at this. Was able to make it, and we missed three of them. But at the end, man, it was just an electrifying game. Great college game, showing that both teams deserve to be there. And it was beautiful, man. I just loved it, enjoyed it, and see how the other fans of the University of Miami react to the victory of this game. It was beautiful. Had a great time there.
Yeah, a lot of people might just say that, Miami should have went in and did, more than they did. I think they did enough to get this game won, which they needed to do anyway. I thought they did everything right in a lot of areas, and there are some areas that we'll talk about that they may need to improve upon before they end up going up against Ohio State. Because for one thing, I can tell you, Ohio State, they're not a perfectionist team, because any team can be beat on any given day. However, Ohio State is not going to make the mistakes that Texas A&M made today. Ohio State's defense, I believe, is ranked up near the top in college football as far as the defense goes. University of Miami's defense is ranked up into the top echelons of college football. So it's a clash of both defenses. But one more thing I will say, whoever can control the line of scrimmage, kind of like when the game started out today, I called you and immediately told you, I say, look, man, they're not getting any penetration on Marcel Reed. They have to get penetration on him. And I guess they heard us because they start getting in there on him. And, Corey Heatherman, who's the defensive coordinator, he started coming up with some creative blitzes and creative ways to free up players that couldn't just run right in there on him. His legs helped Texas A&M a little bit in the first quarter or so. But once Miami got used to putting a spy on him, he couldn't actually run as freely as he did that first quarter for sure. And that's something that we'll talk about. But this game is going to be a great game in Dallas for the Cotton Bowl for Ohio State and Miami. It's a great matchup. I think we owe them from that Fiesta Bowl, and they're going to get what we owe them because we're going to pay them back with that. And hopefully they're not going to have the referees on their side in this game like they did that night. Yeah. Right? Yeah. For that referee, and it's a nightmare to even think about it, but I can keep repeating it over and over again. I believe they got robbed. And whatever you think about that, it's one thing, right?
Yeah, we do know that, man. It's just good to see the University of Miami has such good coaches over there. They'll make an adjustment to the fact that Ohio State has a superb team and they are well coached and they got some superior athletes over there. But when we match our team up, they pretty much the same athletically. So it's just going to be a great game because even when we get back to the Texas A&M Aggies, man, people were sleeping on the Aggies, man. They were undefeated for almost the whole entire season, and they got beat at the tail end. So, they got a good team. They don't just win 11 games by mistake. They had a great team. They played good, solid football. They're well coached and they're well poised. University of Miami just clicked at the right time. They called the good plays at the end. They didn't show them too much in the first half, and they made the adjustments in halftime, and then they start moving the ball because remember we had three and outs 3 times in a row before we even got a first down, man, and that part didn't sit well with me. But just to see how they strategized throughout the course of the game, it was okay. Man, we had some good solid hitting out there too, man.
It was some hitting going on out there now. For sure. Yeah. It was some head hunting actually. Not only hitting, but some head hunting was going on out there.
Man, one of the last plays of the game with that collision at the goal line, that would have been a touchdown. That guy got rocked, man. He got greeted at the goal line, and he dropped the ball. Man, if he would have held that ball, that would have been a touchdown, man. Because all he had to do was just fall. If he would have fell in the end zone with that ball, that was a touchdown. So it would have been a different outcome, or either would have went into overtime. So
Yeah.
I was overall pleased with the outcome of this game and the way they played throughout the course of the game. Yeah.
Yeah, that was Mo Torre, Muhammad Torre. He used to play at Rutgers, and he was a transfer from Rutgers. And I think Corey Heatherman coached him at Rutgers, before Corey Heatherman ended up moving on to Minnesota to be the defensive coordinator from Minnesota. And then he moved on to Miami, which we're so happy to have him because, you can tell the passion and you could tell the animated way that he calls his defenses, and him and Jason Taylor and all of those other defensive coaches are just so in sync, right? Yes. They're just so freaking in sync.
Defense is dialed
they dialed up and they're in sync, and they got a good camaraderie amongst those coaches going on, and those kids respond to that. You could see it. Oh, yeah. You could see it on the field. And when that happens, the sky's the limit. Yeah. That's why I say I'm not going to make a prediction yet, but Ohio State's going to be ready. I know Miami's going to be ready. And this kind of reminds me of the NFL wild card. I mean, Miami won this game, and I believe they're going to get on to a hot streak, and they're going to move on past Ohio State. That's just in the back of my mind, but we'll see what happens with that. So let's get this party started. One thing before we do is I want to just say I had a great weekend today. And yesterday and today was good. And I've started my new diet because I did go to the doctor a couple of days ago, and I was told that I need to change my diet. Otherwise, I might not be around because of, cholesterol issues and blood pressure issues. And, I didn't really pay attention that eating a lot of fast food carries tons and tons and tons of sodium, which I should have because I've been used to having a diet and a very disciplined diet in my past, but I just didn't pay it no mind because, the way I do things, it's like I'm a spur of the moment type of person. So if I drive by a fast food restaurant, I just do what I need to do. I get what I need to get, Yeah. So to have them tell me my blood pressure was at a level that could be life threatening, I got to get it down. So yesterday was my first day. And what I did is I went into AI, I went into ChatGPT, and I say, put together me a program on how to eat and how to train in order to lose 15 pounds and be able to get this blood pressure down to a manageable level. And I can tell you, ChatGPT told me everything I needed to know. And now all I type in is, what can I eat now? And it'll ask me what time it is, and it'll tell me what's good because I gave it all of the stats, all of the things that, body weight, you name it, everything. And it tells me line for line what I need to do. So I just want to let everybody know that. I hope everybody who has issues with blood pressure, you can address it, or cholesterol, and address it as soon as possible because it's a silent killer. You'll be walking along and you just drop dead. That's kind of how that works.
Why you don't ask ChatGPT and AI to get you up on time? Why you do that? Why you ask them that?
I think I'm going to go ahead and input that tonight. How about that? Because I know if I don't get up on time, I get a call from you. And it's one of them calls that I'm going to have to let our viewers listen to at some point in time. And they'll see what I'm talking about. Okay?
Oh, man. Yeah, so let me see if you're going to stick to this diet, man. I'm going
to stick to it because I know I need to, and I got people depending on me, and I don't want to leave this planet right now. As bad as things seem to be, I'm not ready to go nowhere. Nowhere.
Well, I'll tell you one thing.
I'm not going anywhere.
Yeah, but even when you go to fast food restaurants, it's just what you order, man. You ain't got to go in there and order all them damn fries.
Here's the thing. Here's the thing.
Just meat or something, man, chicken or whatever the case may be.
Did you know did you know at a lot of fast food restaurants, and I'm not going to name any because I'm not 100% specific, they cook with the same grease for days. They don't. We know that. Okay, so when you're cooking with the same grease for days, and let's just say you have chicken nuggets or whatever, ground beef or whatever. Anytime you dip in meat down into that grease, it's not clean.
Don't go in no grease, DC. Salad don't go in grease.
Salad, yeah. Well, salad is understandable. I understand salad, yeah.
What else you talking about? Because
I'm talking about nuggets. I'm talking about a Big Mac. I'm talking about a quarter pounder. I'm talking about a Wendy's double and those type of things. Chick-fil-A is another one of my favorites. I'm a big Chick-fil-A guy.
Salad in there. Just don't order that, man. That's simple. You ain't got no business with the fries and the salt and all that ice cream and all that stuff that they got in there and those sausage biscuits and all of that crap. They don't get that, man. Get you a yogurt or some salad, man. That's all you have to do if you're on the run.
That's what ChatGPT told me. Same thing you just said.
Good. On your damn ChatGPT, so it's simple. You got to go look that up.
So here's a list of topics we're going to talk about tonight, and we have some interesting ones. We're going to talk about that fight from last night with Anthony Joshua, AJ, versus Jake Paul. And Isaiah watched the fight, so I'm going to kind of get him to break down everything for us with the takeaways. I did see highlights of it today. And I thought it was comical myself to see some of what I saw. However, we'll talk about that, and we're going to talk about where does Jake Paul go now? I mean, because this was pretty much the end of the road for him to be able to keep promoting fights against, they call them exhibitions, against bums, whoever you want to call it. I mean, people who weren't professional fighters, he got in the ring with, and he parlayed it into something very profitable for him. However, he got in there with a real fighter yesterday. And I predicted yesterday. Did I predict this, Isaiah? Did I tell you this? I told you that Anthony Joshua was going to knock him out. I didn't say which round. I just said that the height difference and the weight difference. Jake Paul is 6'1". Anthony Joshua is 6'6". I mean, come on, man. And the reach.
That part right there, DC, that part, the weight and the height and all that stuff, it didn't really come into play. Just the experience of having a real fighter in there, it was his downfall, because what he's did is he's been beating up old guys. He jumped on Mike Tyson last year, and Tyson almost
58 years old. Yeah.
And the thing is, Tyson, according to them, this is all alleged stuff, but they claim he told him not to knock him out. He wasn't, savvy to knock him out. So, and even Tyson hit him with some blows that really rocked him at his age. So he was grabbing guys who was a good draw and they could make a lot of money off of it. And then he ran into somebody who knew what they were doing, and it wasn't over the hill. You got a young guy, experienced guy, a gold medal Olympian, and all this type of stuff. And he just had him running, man. It was a track meet in there last night. That guy took off running, man. He ran until he got tired. And when he got tired, he cut off the ring and started knocking him in the head. It was funny, man. And the thing is, I'm just looking at all those BBLs sitting there. Man, that thing, it was packed to the max.
Oh, it was sold out. And it was in Miami. It was in Miami yesterday. Was it over at the convention center? Where was it? Where did they have the fight?
That where the Miami Heat plays.
Okay, at the American Airlines Arena then.
Yeah, it's called Celsius, something like that. I don't remember.
Well, they might have changed the name, just like the Lakers changed theirs to crypto.
They done named about 4 or 5 different things, but that's what they fought last night.
So we're going to talk about that, and we're going to talk about the Alabama game against Oklahoma yesterday. I thought that was a great comeback. Alabama seemed to be hitting on all cylinders right now. I believe they are, for real, and they might run the table. I mean, who knows? It could be faced off. Alabama, Georgia, Miami, any of those teams could face off. Now, Oregon looked good tonight, and I told you about these 2 at-large teams. And I'm pretty sure on Monday, especially when the week starts out next week, there's going to be a lot of chatter about whether these 2 teams actually deserve to be in these games. Yeah, it's going to happen. I know Notre Dame is going to say, "Look, we should have been there." Texas had a legitimate beef because, I mean, to say that they deserve to be there because guess what? They ended up beating. They ended up knocking off Texas A&M, which was ranked really high before they beat them. Yeah,
they were undefeated.
And Texas A&M, exactly. So with that said, those two teams, I know we're going to be talking about a lot of it on Monday, about James Madison and about Tulane today, losing the way they lost.
That was embarrassing, but both of them.
Yeah.
That they threw in at the end of it. It was embarrassing. These guys couldn't compete, man. Tulane got mopped, and then, this Mary or whatever the name of it, St. Mary or whatever the name. What's the name of those folks?
James Madison?
Never heard of them. Yeah, James Madison. They didn't look like they had no business at all in there, man. You can get a good Chaminade Madonna here in South Florida beat them.
I don't know about that. Now, I think you're getting beside yourself with that. James Madison was the champion in their league. So I don't think any high school team would match up against James Madison. They get stomped.
They ain't have no business in this playoff.
Now, that's true. I'm not going to refute you on that. That's true.
Those guys look. It was embarrassing to watch it. I couldn't watch it. They couldn't even sustain a good drive, and it was lopsided. That game shouldn't have been played with them. They should have they should have put Notre Dame in there.
Notre Dame would have gave Oregon. Notre Dame, I would have predicted could have went up in there and beat Oregon tonight. That's just how good I thought Notre Dame was this year. And
Notre Dame played really well the rest of the season after we beat them. When they throw them out of there, but it's just their luck this year. And
absolutely.
Then they stopped them from. They didn't want to play in the bowl game, which I think they should have did their kids like that. But
exactly,
that's their way of handling a situation. So
absolutely. So we'll talk a little bit about that, and we're going to talk about how these teams are going to match up against each other in the next, the next level, the next step, because these next games are coming up. Ohio State, Indiana, Texas Tech. They're going to all be playing these teams that are advancing to the next step, in the college football playoff. We're going to talk about Ohio University. They had a scandal similar to University of Michigan. They fired their coach. They fired him for cause. We'll talk a little bit about that. The university was really secretive about it at first, and then once people start digging in and finding out what really happened with this coach, I think they had to come clean. Ohio University.
Okay.
Ohio University. Yeah. And it's been a very formidable program. I mean, they've always had decent players to come out of that university and play at the NFL level. So it's not just a fly-by-night program. It's a good program, I think, for the most part, competing at the level that they compete at. So we'll talk a little bit about that. And we're going to talk
Was that the one where the coach was messing with a student, DC?
Correct.
Is this that one? Oh,
okay. Yeah. And those type of things can get you fired for cause. Ask Sharon Moore. And, since the University of Michigan was such a, program that had a lot of exposure and media exposure, it went viral. Now, this Ohio University is not going to go viral because Ohio University is not the University of Michigan. So that's one thing, the difference between the two. And then we'll close it out and we will talk about some, recap stuff. And we want you, the viewer, if you want to ask us questions, Q&A at the end, we'll be more than happy to discuss them with you. And we'll go from there. So let's open it up and let's talk a little bit about this Jake Paul, Anthony Joshua fight. It looks like Jake Paul. My question to you is, and before I start this out, Jake Paul, to narrate his ascent to last night, is he started out as a YouTuber. And he started out as a YouTuber. He parlayed that into millions of dollars. Being on YouTube is not an easy thing, and being successful on YouTube. I can say being on YouTube might be easy, but it's not easy to gain notoriety, to gain success, to be able to make a lot of money. I think at one point Jake Paul was the #1 YouTuber in the world in terms of his purse that he was getting paid from YouTube because of all of the followers that he had. So you got to give him credit that he does know how to promote himself. He knows how to promote his brand. Him and his brother Logan Paul, he started his own YouTube channel. So you got to give them guys credit and, say that, look, these guys, they came from, small beginnings, and now they're two multimillionaires, probably worth hundreds of millions, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know each one of them's net worth, but I know Jake Paul is worth tens of millions of dollars and then some, if not over 100 million.
Yeah, he spent some of it last night at the hospital.
Yeah, he did. And we'll talk a little bit about that too, because we'll talk about some of the injuries that he sustained during his fight, and it's just a lesson learned that you don't get in the ring with a professional that really make a living at what they do, and you think you can get in there and you think you can do what you did all the way up until this fight and be successful. It's just not going to happen, right?
Man, he thought he was going to be able to BS people, man. That's what he did. He got in there and thought he was going to be able to run the whole night, and he got tired. So when he got tired, he got popped in the jaw a couple times, man. And he thought he was going to use that same type of tactic he did with Mike Tyson. And you talking about a younger person. Tyson was tired as hell, man, when he was fighting him. He hadn't fought in 10 or 15 years. But then Jake Paul thought he would go in there and punch a few punches and then run around the ring and the guy chase after him. But at some point, you don't think you're going to get tired, and that's what happened to him. Once that fatigue set in, then he just got knocked out. And that's what the whole setup was about. Here's what
I think, and it looks like he had a 12-1-0 record. Last night was his first loss, of course. 7 KOs. 53% of the time he KO'd his opponent. He's 6'1". I think he weighed in for this fight at 216, I want to say. And Anthony Joshua was 6'6", 243. I think he made the weight by a couple of pounds, I want to say, because he had to shed some pounds to be able to make this weight.
What was the weight? You're a heavyweight. You don't have a weight.
Well, according to this, he made the weight, according to what I read with Anthony Joshua, because it is
the weight.
Let me check real quick, because I want to make sure I'm putting it out there like it should be.
Heavyweight, once you go over the 200-pound bracket to qualify as a heavyweight, then there's no limit. Remember when Holyfield went up to heavyweight because he was a cruiserweight at like 190 something?
Right.
And then he had to gain like 10 pounds to get into that 200-pound bracket.
Right. But for this particular fight, they had rules. So the rules said that you couldn't weigh more than 245. And Joshua weighed in at 243.4.
He might have made those damn rules himself, because that's what he's been doing. When he carrying that purse, he make his own rules. That's what I'm
Well, it wasn't a sanctioned fight, so I don't know. Maybe the promoters or the people who organized this fight got together and put that rule into place. Because think about this: if Joshua could have weighed anything, he could have came in at 250, and it would have just been a total mismatch. It was a mismatch anyway, but it would have been a devastating mismatch if Joshua wasn't held to under 245 pounds. By the way,
with Mayweather and Mike Tyson fighting.
Well, each fight is different. Each fight is different.
But what I'm just showing you is all a game, is a money grab where these guys are collecting dollars because we got knuckleheads that want to see anything. They want to relive glory days with Mike Tyson. And this guy, last fight, he had his knees wrapped up and he had icy hot everywhere. I could smell it.
Compression socks.
So much. Yeah, all that stuff, man. And he was crippling. He was staggering into the. You know how you go down the runway before you get to the ring? He was staggering in there, man. He was trying to catch his balance.
Sure. Man, I think. I want to say that this was just a fantasy fight for Jake Paul, and we'll get into that because I just think he couldn't even fool himself to think he was going to go in there and win this fight last night. I don't even think he could fool himself with that.
He thought he was going to get a lucky punch in there because it was a money grab, and right now that draw was the biggest name, DC. That name, it was
well, to bring Joshua into it, sure. I mean, because you have an Olympian that won gold. I mean, he's been a professional for a while, so all of the legitimacy is there.
Yeah.
Everything that needs to be in place to make this a legitimate fight, other than the fact that it wasn't sanctioned. Sanctioned means the WBC, WBA, they weren't fighting for a belt. That's basically what it was.
They was fighting for the dividends.
They were fighting for the dividends, and there's different, rumors and different things that I've read today that said it was over a $200 million purse between the two. Ooh. I saw $92 million each for the two. Until we find out specifically how much these guys made, either way, Jake Paul is going to be fine. He can, whatever jaw he got broken last night, he can get it fixed. He ain't going to be no problem. He'll heal back up. It's just that I want to get the information from you, and I want to get your take on where does he go, because there ain't no more places to go that you can get these exhibition fights to fight against people that's not experienced. Now it's the expectation is going to be for him to fight professional fighters. Now, here's the thing. He's a super heavy. I mean, he's not a super heavyweight. He's a light heavyweight. Or what do they call him? Cruiserweight? I don't know the terminology. Technically, at 216 pounds, you right in the middle of a light heavyweight, because Holyfield and all of them, they were right between all of those weights, right?
No, they're legit heavyweights, because Mike Tyson was like 218 for the longest.
Okay.
Yeah, that was his.
But then he fought again he fought at 225, 230 at one point as well.
Yeah, but that's when he got older. He gained
exactly.
pounds. But as a heavyweight, he was always at 218. And then he went up a little bit more later on, but he was getting older at that time when you naturally gain much more weight as you get older. But he's always been a heavyweight. Well, I've never known him to be under 200 pounds.
For Jake Paul, in order for him to move forward, and this is from me to you, is I think he's going to have to fight at a light heavyweight weight class, and when he does that, he's going to have to find fighters that will fight him, and there's some dangerous, devastating fighters, I believe, in the light heavyweight division that will take him out just as Joshua took him out last night, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, but it's okay for him to go after those folks, because only thing he's looking for is a person who's got a big name in the boxing industry. That's it. That's all he's looking for. He ain't looking to fight people who don't have a name. He's just parlaying off of someone's popularity. That's all he's doing. He don't want to fight anybody who's not popular, because that's not going to bring the draw that they need. Only thing he want to do is fight somebody who's got a big name and a big draw that's going to make them sell some tickets. That's it. That's all.
You think he's going to be able to pull it off, though? You think he's going to be able to promote it to the level where he's got to be in? And I'm assuming that he wants to fight in sanctioned fights where he can get a belt. I would think so.
Getting the belt, man.
Well, I'm not saying he's going to get a belt, but what I'm saying is he'd be wasting his time if he wasn't boxing for something legitimate. And something legitimate is the money, of course. I mean, he's going to make plenty of that.
It's not intended to be legitimate, DC. Only thing he want to do is get some rear ends in the seat and make a ton of money like he did there last night. He's not looking for no legitimacy and belts and all of that stuff. Unless he go buy one, he's not looking for that. He's looking for a cash cow where he can bring in a bunch of people to come watch him fight, because that's what he did on YouTube as a YouTuber. He just got a bunch of people to come in there and start watching him all the time. And that's what he's doing. He's always doing this little flamboyant stuff with the tattoos and the jewelry and all this type of stuff. And then he go in there and act a fool in the ring. That's all he was doing, licking his tongue out, and the man just clocked him, and his bloody mouth and everything. He was just putting on a show. He wasn't serious, man. He was not serious.
So he would have to fight at the cruiserweight, and I don't think he would be successful at that the way he looked last night unless he up his game. He's going to have to up his game. and he's gonna have to
gonna look
train
good.
to a level where he could survive a fight, because it didn't look like he was doing well at all after he got tired. You saw how wet he was and how sweaty he looked running around that ring trying to avoid a punch.
That was most water when they were trying to cool his ass off, because he looked like he ran a 440 relay. I mean, that guy was running around the track. Man, he was the last leg of a 440 relay. He ran the whole night. Come on, man. And then every time he go into the corner, they were dashing with water to try to cool him off. He didn't really get hit. Man, he was just trying to keep that guy hydrated, just keep him from fainting, man. This guy was tired. And I'm gonna tell you right now, he was grabbing and holding, man. He had to get.
I saw some of the highlights where he was grabbing and holding.
And then he would fall to the ground where he can get that 8 count that can give him a chance to rest. You know, he went down about 10 times. He got knocked down like 3 times, but he went down like 10 times because he was trying to get that 8 count so he can rest. Mm-hmm. That's all he was doing.
And most people don't realize boxing is a very, very, very tough. You have to be conditioned in a way where your stamina has to be there. If you don't have any stamina, I've learned it because me and Isaiah used to box AAU down in Miami, and we knew once you got in that ring, you know, we had our headgear on and all of that, but once you got in that ring and you started moving, you'd be so gassed you couldn't move. I mean, you couldn't even come out and put your dukes up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, wrestling is the same. Wrestling is worse than it.
And wrestling is probably worse,
Yep, it is worse. I did both of them.
Yep. So here's my first question to you, since we've gotten into this, because Jake Paul established himself. He got up to last night. I think he's hit a wall now because there is no place else to go other than to up himself, get into a cruiserweight division, and try to work his way up toward getting to the top of that division where the champs are. And who knows whether he'll make it or not if he's still interested in doing that. He said that last night he wanted to win a belt. He was going to go down to the cruiserweight and he was going to, train to win a belt. So with that said, do you think Jake Paul was a victim here? Do you think he was, it was a mismatch in terms of his ability to fight versus Joshua? Because I feel like he wanted this fight more than Joshua did, because they had been talking about it for over a year.
It was a cash cow for him. He made tens of millions of dollars. He got his butt beat for the first time because he fought somebody that was ready for him. He wasn't fighting a guy who was 20 years younger than him like he did with Mike Tyson and the rest of these guys who was over the hill, man. When he go down, he's going to be fighting guys who's still into the game. Once you fight a guy who know what they're doing and still in the game, they're going to knock his behind out, and he's never getting the belt because he's not a legitimate fighter. He's not serious about this thing. You know, you don't start boxing when you get to be in your 20s. You start when you 8, 9 years old, going to the gym and fighting and learning all the craft, and then you become a pro once you start getting around 16, 17 years old, and you go to Olympics. Those are the ones that using this thing as a career. Mm-hmm. He just found out another way to get paid. You know, he catapulted his popularity from being a YouTuber onto this stage because he figured he can catch some people who sleep. And that's what he's been doing, man. This guy's not a real fighter. He's just an entertainer. He's trying to entertain people. And that's what he's doing. But if he's trying to chase a belt, this is going to be his demise because he's not going to beat these cruiserweight fighters who's fighting all the time and they're not retired. He's bringing guys out of retirement beating on these guys, man. Come on. I was embarrassed to have Mike Tyson out there, man. The man is old, gray, and crippled, and he jumped on Mike Tyson. Tyson would have knocked this guy out in seconds if he would have been in his prime. Yeah.
Yeah, all of his fights was carefully planned up until last night, at least planned from the perspective of they were getting people in there that they know that he could beat, I think.
Right.
Now, last night, I think money and Profit took over, and they just said, look, we probably know he's not going to get in there and be able to do anything with Joshua. However, the money is going to be there.
Listen, DC, that was so lucrative. It was worth the loss. If you can go in there and make $90 million on a fight like that, that's more than Floyd Mayweather and the rest of those guys were making. And Tyson never thought or imagined this kind of money when he was fighting, man. Because of the way things are right now, they didn't have all of these outlets where you can make that kind of money in one night off of a fight.
Yeah.
And now he's just playing it to the T. That's what he's doing. If he can go in there and rake in that kind of money on a fight where you got some guys who's over the hill and beat them, who wouldn't do that?
Right.
That's worth it.
Mm-hmm.
It's worth it to stay in shape for 2 months, 3 months to get in shape to at least look good while you body wise, where you don't be fat and sloppy and have rolls around your stomach and go in there and fight. And then even if you get knocked out, you grabbing that kind of money. Who wouldn't do that? And see, his strategy is actually genius, because what he did is he beat enough over the hill people to make it look like he's legitimate, because people not just thinking, oh, shoot, he's beat all of these old people like we do. We feel like it was like lopsided, all of these people who he's beaten so far. And the moment he run into a legitimate fighter, he lost. So what he's doing is he's getting in the psyche of the average people right now who don't know anything about boxing. And he's got this long drawn win. He's going to always have his followers because they like him anyway, because of his flamboyance and him and his brother and the all of the stuff that they do behind the scenes, the cars and the houses and the jewelry and all that type of stuff got people excited, and they watch him. And then to see him in the ring, with all the tattoos and all looking all weird, and they watch him. So then he get in there and beat people, and then they'll continue to watch him. And now he's got his rear end handed to him last night. I can't wait for him to fight another legitimate fighter.
Well, they have a fighter out there in the cruiserweight division. Yeah, they have a fighter in the cruiserweight right now from Russia named Bivol. I hope I pronounced his name right, Dmitry Bivol. And I can tell you this. No, I'm just telling you, this is the top fighter in the cruiserweight division. Now, my question to you is, if he's fighting a fighter like Dmitry Bivol, he's not going to take it easy on him like Anthony Joshua did, because I think Anthony Joshua just didn't want to cut him off the first part of the fight. I think Anthony Joshua kind of just let him run himself out, in terms of his stamina, and then he got to him and then he knocked him out. This fighter, if he were to go up against any of those top fighters in the cruiserweight division, they're going to punish him worse than Anthony Joshua would, wouldn't you say?
DC, you talking about a heavyweight fighter. You don't compare the two. If he go down to the lighter he get, the more stamina these younger and smaller guys will have. They would chase him down in that ring and clock him. They will cut off the ring. A heavyweight fighter don't fight like that. They more of a technique, finesse type fighters. They're not running after you because they're going to get tired themselves chasing after you. But those younger fighters who's got those little petite type of bodies, they'll run after him all night, man. They'll chase him all night, man. And he won't survive it. So I recommend he keep fighting these over the hill guys who broke to give him a bag. Go get Holyfield and jump on him. He need a bag. Go get some of these.
Well, I'm afraid that if he were to fight Holyfield probably may end up putting that thing on him, man. Even though Holyfield's old and slow and everything now, I think if Holyfield had to get in shape for a major purse that he could get paid, I would give the edge to Holyfield myself.
He's going to run from Holyfield, man. You don't get it? He's not there to do no slugging. If he slugs, he'll lose all the fights. He's not getting ready to make a slugfest out of this. He's going to get you in there, throw a couple punches and run, or hold you. That's all he's going to do.
Yeah.
That's his strategy. He's going to bang, 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 and run. And so
That's what he did last night.
You want to hit him back. Of course, that's what he's been doing the whole entire career.
Yep.
That's all he's been doing.
Exactly. So here's the thing, and we'll wrap this topic up. Is Jake Paul he's accomplished what a lot of people hadn't accomplished, and he was able to work his way up to a point where he made a ton of money. He made a ton of money with self-promotion. This was more so of a self-promotion type of thing. Even his brother Logan, and Logan seemed to be very humble with the way he interviewed last night when they were talking to him. He said, look, my brother got in the ring. He was very courageous to get in the ring with Anthony Joshua from the get-go. And he says, my brother got his butt kicked, but he'll be all right. That's kind of what his brother Logan said last night. And Jake Paul even said the same thing. I think when it was all said and done, he ended up admitting that he didn't stand a chance against Anthony Joshua. I mean, I said this when they first signed that contract for this fight. I told you there wasn't going to be a fight. There was going to be a start and a finish, and I didn't predict a round, but I did know Anthony Joshua was going to knock him out. That's just my experience in watching Anthony Joshua fight. So the only way up for Jake Paul, from what I can see, is he's going to have to get himself better in shape. He's going to have to learn how to become a legitimate fighter if he can do it, which I don't think he can, but if he could, in order to keep this purse going, is what I'm saying. Wouldn't you agree with that?
DC, that's what it's really all about, man. It's not nothing about anything else but a money grab. This is why I'm sitting here laughing at this, because the guy has parlayed his way into a job. This is what a job is, when you discover something where you can make some easy money. And that's what it is.
Well, it wasn't so easy as you make it sound last night, taking punches like that.
BC, if you're going to get knocked in the head for 8 rounds, less than an hour's worth of work, and come home with $92 million, you're not doing that? This guy's hitting the lottery every time he get in the damn ring. That's what he's doing.
Well, what I'm saying is there may not be any more lotteries after last night.
Another damn lottery where he done made $300 million. What's wrong with you? This is on top of the YouTube money he's been making for many years, man.
Well, on top of the money he's made from purses too, fighting up until last night, because I think he made a ton of money against Tyson too, right?
Yes, you forgot about that? That's what I'm telling you. He ain't just start with Mike Tyson. He's been making tens of millions of dollars from all these washed up guys, man. And he just finally got beat. And if he quit tonight, he won't have to ever worry about anything, man. The guy's worth hundreds of millions of dollars from beating up bums.
Yes. So I remember when he knocked out Nate Robinson. Nate Robinson used to be a professional athlete. And basically, he KO'd 7 people out of all the people he fought. He KO'd 7 of them and knocked them out.
Washed up and old.
Old and gray, right?
Yeah, man.
Well, we'll see how it plays out and turns out moving forward, because at some point in time, he's going to have to make a decision. Do I want to go back to YouTube? Or he don't even need to do that with all the money he's made, but he might want to make a career change after 2 broken bones in his jaw. I mean, his jaw was broken in 2 places. He drove himself to the hospital, according to sources, and he should be fine. They'll probably wire his jaw shut for a while. He'll lose more weight with that, because he'll only be able to eat and drink through a straw, if that's the case. It could be different, but I know most people get their jaw broken. Your jaw is wired shut. You can't eat. You can't eat with it. Eat with your teeth or anything, you know? So let's move on to this next topic, and let's talk a little bit of a summary of the Alabama game last night. Alabama went down 17-0. They couldn't get anything going. Everything was working against them. Everything seemed to be working for Oklahoma. And then everything started to fall apart for Oklahoma, with penalties, with mistakes. and Alabama, they capitalized off of every single one of those. And I know you watched the game. I watched a little bit of the third and the fourth quarter. And Alabama's defense, man, they ain't nothing nice. I'm just telling you, they ain't nothing nice. Their defense, and they had a pretty solid running game last night too. At the second half of the game, when they were able to run the ball on Oklahoma, which they couldn't do in the first half. Do you think that Oklahoma just blew this game and gave this game away, or did Alabama take it away from them?
Alabama took that game. These guys played their hearts out, man, and Alabama just made the right adjustments and just kept playing solid football, man. And this is what happens when you're well coached, when you got a coach who know how to keep you guys. Yeah, man. When they can keep these guys in sync. When you can keep your group in sync and get these guys to relax and calm down and just play football. Don't make mistakes and don't jump off sides. Don't do these sportsmanlike conduct type of stupid mistakes, and then you can rebound and just be aggressive and game tackle and catch the ball when it's thrown to you. It's simple. Football is simple, man. But the only thing you got to do is make sure everybody's on the same accord. You know, once you do that, I can even refer back to Malachi Tony today. He was trying to get extra yards spinning out of a tackle and got stripped by the ball. And that dude went on the side of
he was distraught
and was crying like he was at a funeral, man. Dude, you just don't know how that touched me because I understood how important this game was to him. When you got a good athlete like that, they don't want no mistake. They don't want anything falling on their shoulders. Negative.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And you see what happened. He scored the winning touchdown.
Yep. He sure did. Because he said his teammates at the end of the game, he said they never gave up on him. The coaches never gave up on him. And as far as that strip goes, it was nothing he could do about that because he was held up and the defender came in and just yanked the ball out. So it wasn't anything that he could control, I think, from that point. Yes.
The one who stripped the ball wasn't the one who was making the initial tackle.
Right.
The guy who came from the backside is the one who stripped the ball from him because he had the ball, like they said, he was spinning out of a tackle, and the guy from the backside is the one
who stripped the ball, right?
Yeah, so he couldn't.
So I don't even blame that on Malachi Tony because he was trying to gain extra yards, and during that point in time, a defender came in from the blind side and was able to pull the ball out. So I wasn't even concerned with him making a fumble like that or a fumble happening to him because I know what he's capable of doing play after play after play. And this kid's only 18. He's only 18 years old, right?
Yeah.
I think he's 18. I want to say he's 18.
He is 18.
And he was supposed to have been in high school, but he graduated early, so he's playing in college when he technically was supposed to have been at American Heritage one extra year. And he moved on. And he's a superstar. And he shows up and he shows out. He's definitely headed in the right direction as far as the NFL is concerned. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's too premature to say that right now. But I do have all the confidence in the world that he will be a top 5 pick in the NFL when he do arrive.
I predict he'll win the Heisman Trophy. DC.
And I predict that he's going to be in a serious running for the Heisman Trophy next year. You know, because he's the type of game breaker and playmaker. They don't come along, but like every 20 years, I would say, where you got a dynamic player like that that's so dynamic in so many different areas of the game on offense. They could use him, you know, he's like a utility guy. He can play quarterback. What's that?
He reminds me of C.J. Spiller.
He does. He reminds me a lot of C.J. Spiller as well. I mean, he's short. And he's compact and he's got a burning speed, man. If that one defender wouldn't have got under his leg and his leg ended up tripping him up, his own leg ended up tripping him up, that would have been, he would have took that one to the house on that punt return. That would have been a touchdown. You know, but getting back to Miami in the first half. So here's some of the problems that I could see from the offense mainly, because I thought the defense they stood up really well from start to finish. I just think that there was some play calling. I know Shannon Dawson, and you know how much I care and how much I admire Shannon Dawson. I'm not going to say anything negative. However, I just think some of those plays where they were throwing those quick screens, Texas A&M was all over that. Do you think those plays were called for a specific reason? Because they could have easily lost the game. I mean, so you're saying they're trying to protect certain plays where Ohio State can't see what they're going to do next week or whenever they play. Mm-hmm. But what about those plays? And I look at them as quick plays, kind of they're plays to create space, and they're plays to one-on-one. It's like matchup type of plays. And Texas A&M's defense was just so quick to get to the runner once they caught the ball. I thought he should have ran the ball from start to finish. I thought with the way Mark Fletcher Jr. was running, I thought they should have ground game that whole game, and it would have been a bigger difference.
But DC, that's just to remain to be seen. You know, one thing I've seen with Shannon Dawson, he don't open up that entire playbook until the second half. He's not going to let you eat on all that stuff and then go in there and make your adjustments during the halftime. So what he'll do is he'll do enough to get by in the first half, and then the second half he'll open up that playbook, because then they don't have a time to go in and stop it. They don't have a time to make their adjustments after that halftime. So that's what he does. Now, the only thing I agree with you on, if he would have mixed it up with the running, because those little hitch passes, screen passes, would have opened up that same stuff that they were stopping from the beginning.
Absolutely.
When he was throwing those little curls and stuff, and
those quick flat screens, like they throw them out in the flat, and the defenders was just closing in so fast on that. I thought that was just kind of mind-boggling to me, that every time Fletcher hit that hole, if there was a crease this small, he wiggled his way through there. Once he got through there and got to that second level, those defensive backs couldn't do anything with him, man. I'm just telling you, you know. And I thought they gave away a lot, because Texas A&M was able to stay in this game until technically the very end. There was one play to stop Texas A&M from tying the game up, you know, instead of creating a pad. Now, our kicker, the University of Miami's kicker, had 3 misses because of the wind. At least I know 2 of them was because of the wind. The wind just moved them completely over.
All 3 of them were D.
Yeah.
All 3 of them.
Now, Texas A&M,
the way that ball went up and how it shifted.
Yeah.
The wind caught all 3 of them. Yeah.
Now, Texas A&M kicker missed the first kick down at the goal line. I think it was close to the goal.
Too. And I think the one that he made, the first shot, the second one that he made on Texas A&M, he wasn't kicking against the wind, so it went. And
it was a different kicker. He didn't put the same kicker back in there. It was a different kicker for A&M that made that second kick.
Yeah.
So with that said, I thought the defense, you know, Ruben Bain is definitely a top 5 pick to me, and I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that right now with the way he's playing. And if he keeps playing the way he's playing, him and Mesidor, they're the 2 of the best bookends I've seen for a long time.
I do too. They guys are quick. They game tackle. I love it, man.
And if you bunch up one side to block one of them with double, you know, with extra blockers, I mean with extra linemen to block them, the other one's just going to come around on you too. Yeah. And then Corey Heatherman, who's the defensive coordinator, he creates very creative plays where he could rush that linebacker in there on him, you know. Well, Wesley Bissaint, he's a monster, you know.
Yeah. They really are being taught by Jason Taylor, because the stuff that they're doing is Jason Taylor all over again, man.
For sure.
It just looks just like him, man.
Yeah, they look just like Jason Taylor with the way he used to rush the quarterback off that edge. The only difference is Bain is shorter. Jason Taylor was tall and long and had long arms, and he could swim a lot of those offensive tackles. They couldn't get to him to put hands on him, because he'd swim them and get right around them, or sometimes he'd bull rush them in. But for the most part, his his release off the edge was just so fast they couldn't block him, and that's what I see a lot in Mesidor, and that's what I see a lot in Ruben Bain Jr. And that's what we'll see moving forward into this playoff, that they're going to have to bring very creative ways to free up either one of those guys, or to free up Mo Toure, or to free up Besant, to be able to come in there and be able to have an open man that could just rush the quarterback. You know, one thing about Ohio State that I'm going to tell you that they might have an Achilles heel is Julian saying he's not going to be able to. If they crash that line like I expect them to do, Ohio State's quarterback going to be in trouble. I'm just going to predict it now, because Ohio State has protected him for the most part. For the most of the year, they protected him. You know, because he's the type of quarterback that he gets it out of his hands really quick. So that tells you right there that he don't hold on to the ball very long before you get it out of his hands.
Right, DC? Ohio State has one loss, right?
Against Indiana.
Okay.
And it looked like Indiana exploited some of that too. They were able to rattle Julian Sand to a point where he wasn't in rhythm with his receivers like he normally was during the regular season, and that I think that affected their offense some in that Big Ten championship game, because that's where they played them. They played them in the Big Ten championship, and Ohio State came up short in that game. Now, if Ohio State would have won that game, Ohio State would have been ranked higher, and Miami would have been playing Indiana. You know what I'm saying? It was swapped. They swapped them out because Indiana went to number one.
Yeah.
You know,
I wanted to see Miami play Indiana. That was my preference earlier.
It would have been the same result as Cal last year. Miami would have got it handled, I would predict. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So another thing that to bring to light is, I just thought they gave Texas A&M too much of plays that they could have taken care of being on offense and burning more of the clock off than they did on offense today. So in other words, this was a tight game. Texas A&M's defense was tight, and Miami's defense was tight. So it was a defensive battle throughout the game, I would say.
Yeah, those games like that is always won in the trenches, and that's what it really boiled down to. Because when we start smash mouthing and running that ball, it just opened up everything, man. And I mean, even at the very end, when Malachi Tony turned that corner, those guys had them getting mauled by that
for sure.
run up the gut. So they was tired then, man. And once you get a guy who's tired, get them jokers fatigued, they turn into cowards, no matter what they think.
Well, you see them hold their hands on their waist, too. They be gasping for air. You could see it.
Ain't gonna have them hands on their hip. Just keep running at them. They ain't going to stop nothing, man.
Yep.
They ain't going to do nothing.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly. Yeah, so we'll keep an eye on that. One thing I wanted to bring to light, too, as far as Alabama is concerned, Nick Saban, and you predicted it, you said it over and over again, he still has his footprint inside that program. And a lot of what you see on the field is Nick Saban-ish. It's his team. It's still his team. Only Kalen DeBoer is just the face of it right now, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When you come in talking about discipline, when you talk about the lack of mistakes and the lack of penalties and stuff that Alabama incurred this year, it has Nick Saban written all over it to me. So let's move on to this Ohio University scandal, and let's talk a little bit about it, because I just think there are some parallels with the University of Michigan when it comes to these coaches. When it comes to these coaches having issues like relationships with students or relationships with some of the people that are teams that support the team, it's a problem, and it's been a problem. It's just beginning to come out and beginning to have a light shined on it now, because if you ask me, I just think that the temptation is always going to be there on these campuses, no matter how you look at it, right?
Of course it is. It's just, it's that power thing for the student or the worker or whoever the case may be. It's the fact that you got people that look up to these coaches, man. These coaches is like, important figures to them.
Yeah.
And then they admire these people, and then you think you walk up in the stadium with 100,000 people and they're cheering them on. It makes people have that certain desire to want to be with them, and ultimately it happens.
That's right.
That's just the bottom line of it.
Right. So it says here, Ohio head coach Brian Smith reportedly fired over romantic relationship with undergrad and public intoxication. These are all allegations because there's no solid proof that we know about other than these platforms and these media outlets are reporting these things, that he was fired after an administrative review, and there was a serious professional misconduct involved. Same type of verbiage and same type of language was used with Sharon Moore, right?
They're putting that language together because he don't walk out there without getting his contract fulfilled. Because they fired him for cause, that means he's not going to get a payout.
Yeah, and I think this coach, they fired him for cause as well, and I think he was owed if around $2.5 million, I believe, in that range, that he's not going to be able to collect either.
He can sweep that up. Nah, he ain't collecting that. No. That's
so
they gathered all the evidence to fire him for cause, and then you got a better leg to stand on without paying him.
Exactly. So that was a direct violation of Ohio University employee policy. Smith also received a formal reprimand in a letter from Lashade on November 25th. You further acknowledge that you were initially unfamiliar with the policy, but now understand its requirements before they canned him. So, I mean, it's just one of them situations where you probably
was not familiar with the policy.
Well, at least the athletic director is by the name of Slade Lashade said, and other administrators met with him, and he said that I guess he wasn't familiar with the policy. At least he didn't have any recollection of that policy, according to this article that I'm reading. Now, according to the Athletic, it said here that he also, per the Athletic, acknowledged that on occasion a few assistant coaches all over the age of 21 joined him privately in his office after games for a single drink of bourbon while he was on campus. Wow. He was reportedly acknowledged that he stored alcohol in his office desk drawer and that he had consumed alcohol in his office after normal business hours.
Yeah, they said it's stupid behind. Let me tell you something, DC. He just got comfortable, man. Just think about this. If everything that you're saying right now is something where he just fell asleep on everything. He just didn't honor this thing. He had no intentions of honoring that contract, man, because if you're drinking on the job, that's bad because you got all of these assistant coaches and the kids can potentially change. As a coach, how many times you have kids in and out your office?
Absolutely.
And then you have your assistants sitting at your desk sometimes. I mean, they see all this stuff. Your assistants is just like your right-hand person. They're in your drawers and they're in your desk. They're everywhere because they're your assistant. So all of this stuff could be documented that he's doing wrong. I mean, it's crazy for these people to let their guards down and not honor the situation that'll get them in trouble. And it's starting to happen more often than not because these guys get relaxed because they got this power and they think people are crazy about them and love them and they would never go anywhere. But then once you start digging into something like this, that I'm going to tell you that for cause stuff is serious stuff.
Oh, it is
because
serious. It is
if it's
serious.
sexual or it's drinking or I mean, it's actually a crime if you out there driving like that. And all of these things are for cause. If you fool around and get in an accident while you're drunk, all of these are just for cause because what they don't want to do is have bad publicity. These universities can't stand bad publicity because it damaged their brand. And so for a person of authority like that to be dealing with a kid or either his staff member, it just don't look right for the university to have a person like that there employed. So what they're going to do, they're going to try to get rid of them before the thing get worse than what it is in terms of the public finding out that this type of behavior has been, you know, people are tolerating it and they don't want to have that type of stigma attached to their university.
That's right.
Yeah.
And that's any organization. But we're just talking specifically about universities now. But any organization, it could be a Fortune 500 company. It could be not a Fortune 500 company. Anytime that so when you get a job, a lot of times, and most times, if it's a big company or a medium-sized company, even smaller companies, they give you a list of things and they give you policies. They give you, sometimes it's kind of like a binder. At least when I started 30 years ago, I had to read through all kind of stuff. Most people don't ever read it. So that's probably might be the case where this coach didn't know anything about it. He just thought, like you said, that, look, I'm the head coach. I can get away with this and I don't have to worry about it. But when you have those policies and they tell you to acknowledge those policies, a lot of times they get you to sign. Did you acknowledge, did you read these policies? And if you sign off on something like that, and then you break these rules, whether it's sexual harassment, whether it's egregious, other things of egregious nature, like fighting or anything that's kind of really, abrasive toward a company, they'll get rid of you and they'll fire you for cause, and they don't owe you anything. They can void your contract if you are under contract, a legal contract with them, right?
See, that's one-on-one, man. Come on, bro.
Yeah.
It's nowhere in the world he couldn't have not thought that was okay to be.
He knew it wasn't okay. Everybody knows that. Common sense would tell you that. Yeah. I mean,
even the fact that he's got a little booze in his damn drawer in his desk. Come on, man.
But he's the only coach. He's one of the coaches that got exposed for it. This other coach is doing it as we speak. They just haven't gotten caught.
All of the stuff that you just talking about, a bunch of them are doing it. You imagine if a coach like that got booze in his freaking drawer, and he walks out there because his desk is on campus.
That's right.
You imagine if he done hit a couple drinks of his booze and walked out there down the hall in campus and stumble and trip over something and fall and break something, and they got to go take him to the hospital and smell booze on him.
That's true.
Oh,
that's true.
Come on, man. You imagine if the athletic director want to have a little brief conversation about your player who's injured. He's just concerned about one of the players is injured and come to his office and the guy smells like a fifth of night. Come on, man.
That's right. That is so true.
That's crazy, man. Oh boy, it's unbelievable. This stuff that's happening now.
Well,
man.
This is the real world that we're living in now, right?
Hey, remember what happened down at the Dolphins camp years ago when they had one of the assistant coach had some substances in his office, and he was
that was during Adam Gase's term when he was the head coach and I think the guy was an offensive lineman coach or something. I don't know for sure.
He was Gase's buddy, so Gase didn't want to can him. When they found out, and some girl ousted him saying he was doing these things, man, and it just got bigger.
Those are all allegations, but obviously he got fired, though, right?
Yep. Mm-hmm. They wanted Gase to fire him at first, and he wouldn't do it, so they got rid of both of them.
That's right.
Gase looked like he was doing the same thing. He's always had his damn hat over his eyes and shit.
Oh, yeah. He used to keep his hat real low over his eyes, like he didn't want you to see his eyes.
Mm-hmm.
That was one of them situations. I'm so happy the Dolphins moved on from him. He was a disaster. So let's go over the college football bracket, and then we'll close the show out. James Madison Oregon, James Madison, 51-26. I think James Madison in the very end tried to make it respectable, so they were able to put 26 points on the board.
DC, they let their third or fourth string players play, man. What's wrong with you? That's why they was able to score.
I didn't even, hey, you know what? I was just going to keep that on the down low. I wasn't going to even bring that up.
I had to bring it up. They ain't scored no legitimate points with those first string, man. They let their third strings play.
So right now, Oregon faces off against Texas Tech in the Capital One Orange Bowl on January 1st to advance to see who's going to advance to the Peach Bowl to represent that bracket, that top portion of the bracket. Looks like Alabama is advancing to play Indiana in the Rose Bowl out here in Southern California on January 1st at 1 p.m. And they'll advance to play the Texas Tech Oregon winner.
That's a Thursday night or a Wednesday night?
I can look at the calendar because I don't have a calendar right in front of me, but let me look at that calendar and I can pull it up for you really quickly. Yeah. Because, you know.
Unbelievable. All of these games are playing throughout the week instead of the weekend.
Yeah. So it looks like the 1st of January is going to be on a Thursday. That's New Year's Day. And it looks like all of these games are going to go down, except for the Ohio State-Miami game is going to go down on Wednesday.
31st, right?
The 31st at 4:30 p.m. Yeah. I think they put Miami out front to play that game. I mean, against Ohio State in the Goodyear Cotton Bowl Classic. Ohio State, the spread is right now is a 9-point spread, a little bit over a 9-point spread that they're going to beat Miami right now for that. UGA has got a 7-point spread over Ole Miss. Alabama, Indiana University has got a 7-point spread over Alabama, and there is no spread right now for the Oregon Texas Tech game. One thing is for sure, I'm going to go ahead and make my predictions after we cover this. But Miami's advancing to play Ohio State. Whoever wins that game is going to the Verbo Fiesta Bowl in Tempe, Arizona, to play either Georgia or Ole Miss. So that's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. That's January 8th. The national championship is on January 19th.
Wait, hang on. If they get past Ohio State, that's who they'll play?
They'll play either Georgia or Ole Miss.
I wanted to play Ole Miss.
Well, everybody wanted to play Ole Miss, but they more likely end up playing Georgia.
Well, we'll beat both of them, but
okay. Well, I'm gonna just say that we're gonna concentrate on Ohio State, which is December 31st. We got pretty much, I think, this week, 2 weeks from now. I think it's like 2 weeks from now before New Year's, technically, because right now it's the 20th. So December 31st is about a little bit over a week away, I would say. I'm proud of Miami. Everybody's proud of Miami, part of that University of Miami faithful. One thing is for sure, if we win this game, Playmaker is going to kiss Mario Cristobal again, right?
Oh, yeah. No, he's going to get checked.
You think he's going to get checked? And he ran up and kissed Coach Cristobal in front of millions of people on national TV while he was interviewing.
Yeah, Cristobal wiped that slob off his jaw.
How does Playmaker get so animated like that? Tell me.
Because he's got the passion, man. People don't realize Playmaker has been like that his whole life, man. This guy got a deep passion for the Cowboys and every place he's
been. Winning. Excellence. And winning. I would say he's got a deep passion for excellence.
Dude, he does the same thing at his own high school. He does the same thing over there, man. And I like him for it because, that's his life, man. This thing is his life. Remember when he got in that scandal, DC?
I remember.
A couple of years ago. Man, he was devastated.
Yeah.
It took him away from the things that he really, truly loved, man. Because think about it. Last night, the guy was at this fight, this circus of a fight last night here in Miami. and the next morning he was there in Texas, where you talking about he had to either fly early this morning or right after the fight last night, man, and he was there.
And that fight didn't get started until after 10 p.m., correct? Something like that?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, man,
and it lasted 6 rounds, so you could see it went easily over an hour and a half to 2 hours.
When he got out of there, DC, it had to be midnight no matter where you cut it because of the traffic and all of that stuff.
He was on. I think he flew private. I don't think he was on a commercial carrier, because I don't know any commercial carriers would have been able to. He would have had to rush to make a flight by at least 6 in the morning, no later than 6 in the morning, because I think Texas is in Central Time.
He did. He was there.
Yeah, and they fly around on private airplanes. I know Kirk Herbstreit, all of the college football game day guys, Pat McAfee, Nick Saban, they all fly around on private airplanes.
I do understand that, but we're talking about an individual right now,
correct,
who's not working for these companies. These companies are chartering these private.
Well, he could charter. He's got enough money. Playmaker's got enough money to charter a flight. That's not a problem for him.
I'm just saying that's on his dime. If you working for
the
rest of these guys that work for somebody, they're chartering these flights for them.
Yeah, because
the Nick Sabans and all the rest of these guys, those flights are being chartered for them. In the case with Playmaker doing that stuff on his own. He's going
absolutely.
He's not employed with the UM or any of these teams that he's over there parading around and being animated and in this 3-point and 4-point stance on the sideline, man. You seen him in a 4-point stance?
I didn't see him in a 4-point stance.
He was on a 4-point stance on the ground, man.
Wow. It's amazing.
Yeah.
A lot of these private flights, a normal airplane ticket can run you anywhere from $1,000 to $1,500 to $2,000. A private jet like that is about $25,000 to $30,000 to be able to get on that flight round trip and go where you're going, and then get back on it and come back. So he's got that kind of money. He throw that kind of money around. One thing is for sure, you did make a valid point that it was very unfair the way he was treated from the NFL. I blame the NFL more so than I blame anything else. I blame the NFL for how they handled it and everything. They should have handled that better. And he had been a part of the NFL, and he represented the NFL very positively. And for them to grab and send him home like that just wasn't appropriate. I think it was wrong from the NFL. Network, NFL Network, not the NFL, but the NFL Network, who was responsible for that. I think they're a division of the NFL. So anyway, we'll see how he parlays it when they get to Ohio State in Dallas. That's going to be an interesting one.
Well, that's where he lives, though, DC.
He does live in Dallas, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember. I think I heard that he lived in Dallas. Yeah.
Well, he's got a house down here, too, but I think he lives in the one in Dallas. I don't think he sold his house since he was playing, because Emmett and the rest of those guys still stay out there.
Right.
Yeah.
And I kind of left out Carson Beck. I thought Carson Beck did okay today. I didn't think he did getting back to the game against Texas A&M. I thought Carson Beck did all right. I mean, I didn't have anything bad to say about him. He's not a running quarterback. They have to keep him clean back there. In order for him to be effective against Ohio State, the University of Miami offensive line, which is very capable of doing it, has to keep him clean back there. Either one or two things is going to happen. Shannon Dawson is going to have to make plays and create plays. He's going to have the ball out of his hand within 2 to 3 seconds. If it gets to that point. If Ohio State is crashing and they're coming in there on him, he's going to have to release that ball quick.
They'll be able to block those guys, man.
Yeah, I think they can too, especially with the offensive line they have. I think they can block them. So, but we will go ahead and wind down this show. I thought it was a good show today, and we're going to do another one on Monday. We'll have a recap weekend, and we'll talk a little bit about, NFL for tomorrow. The Kansas City Chiefs, they're out of it. Patrick Mahomes, ACL tear. He's not going to be back anytime soon. Micah Parsons, same thing for Green Bay. I watched a little bit of the Chicago Green Bay game. I don't know what the score is now, but that was a hard hitting, head banging game. Chicago was putting that thing on them, man. I'm telling you. And Chicago is one of the teams to beat.
Having a good year, man.
They're having a very good year. Yeah, solid year because of Ben Johnson and Caleb Williams and that defense, right? So we'll close this thing out. You got anything to close us out with tonight, Isaiah?
Well, like always, man, I always try to leave with a positive message, and there's nothing change about that. Well, I do want folks to be vigilant because it's just this time of the year where you got people that's looking for folks that's not paying attention, meaning slipping. You
Right.
gotta watch your surroundings because folks are out there trying to capitalize off people who's not paying attention. So keep your eyes open, be vigilant. You go out there and shop. If you're not done, don't go taking gifts to the car and go back in and all this type of stuff. You just actually inviting people to your car to break in your car and take stuff from you. So get wise and be manageable of what you buy and then carry it to your car and then you leave. So you can kind of make sure you don't get hit with a tragedy like that because it's really empty to feel like you went in there and purchased all these gifts and spend your hard-earned money and then come back to your car and it's been vandalized. And so that's my tip for the day. But anyway, other than that, you guys, we're having a successful show. We're being viewed in numerous places all over the world, which I didn't never imagine when we started this thing, DC and I. So continue to watch us and tell your friends and your family, your coworkers that we're on.
Absolutely. Well said. Well said. I want to send condolence to Greg Biffle, ex NASCAR driver. He passed away in a plane crash along with his family. So our hearts go out to the Biffle family. He was such a good guy. He raced. He did everything right. And just one of them situations where him and his family, they was killed in this plane crash. So, we our hearts go out to the Biffle family, and we hope that they can get through this, and our prayers are with them. Other than that, you summed it up. I thought, people should be aware of your surroundings, no matter whether it's holiday season or no matter what time of year it is. You have to be aware of your surroundings. It's just basic little things. They should be instinctual. But sometimes people don't feel those instinctual things that's going on in their brain. For example, if you're going to park your car at any kind of Macy's or Target, you want to park as close as you can to the facility instead of parking so far away where it's not as easy for a person to try to do something or do you some harm. That's the way I'm looking at that. And it's just like anything else. You just have to be aware that people may be watching you, and you can't always see them, but you can have that instinctual, movement to say, look, I'm going to park here. I'm not going to park away where I got to walk miles to try to get somewhere and then get robbed, in other words. So take care of yourself. Take care of those people around you. Take care of your mental health. Take care of your physical health. And we will be rejoining again on Monday. We're going to have our boy Najee back, and we're going to be talking a lot about football and basketball and a little bit of everything. So peace, love, and prosperity. Take it easy. See you soon. Take care.
Hey, you guys watch my Dolphins tomorrow. We got a new quarterback.
Exactly. Win yours.